For years, the public believed one simple story: Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker just grew apart. Two successful people, different paths, a quiet, clean ending. But that story was never real. Because while fans watched highlight reels, a silent war was happening inside that house. And tonight, the silence is over. Riley Burruss has finally done what nobody expected. She didn't speak like a daughter protecting a parent. She didn't perform for cameras. She didn't soften the truth. She exposed it, not as gossip, not as drama, but as damage. According to Riley, this divorce wasn't about money, fame, or even love. It was about control. Two adults living in one home, raising children like enemies on opposite sides. One teaching comfort, the other teaching survival. One building legacy, the other building walls. And the children? They were trapped in the middle of a family that looked perfect from the outside, but was falling apart in silence. Riley says what millions never heard, that Todd wasn't just distant, he was strategic. That discipline felt less like guidance and more like emotional punishment. That inside that house, favoritism replaced fairness, cold decisions replaced affection, and love slowly became leverage. This isn't a story about a marriage ending. It's a story about a family collapsing without warning, sisters becoming rivals, loyalty turning into currency, and a child who finally refused to carry the secret. Because when a daughter breaks her silence, she doesn't just tell a story. She ends one. And what Riley Burruss just revealed may be the most devastating chapter in the Burruss-Tucker legacy yet. Burruss-Tucker marriage was sold as untouchable, a brand, a power couple, a success story no one dared question. From the outside, it looked flawless. From the inside, according to Riley Burruss, it was already breaking. She says the family didn't collapse loudly. It fractured quietly. And when Riley finally spoke, she didn't sound bitter, she sounded finished. People close to her say Riley didn't speak out of anger. She spoke out of exhaustion. Because for years, she claims what looked like structure was actually control. What looked like discipline felt like punishment. And what looked like leadership slowly turned into power. The public believed a simple narrative. Two strong adults, two busy schedules, one inevitable ending. But Riley now says the real story had nothing to do with schedules, it was about survival. She claims Todd Tucker wasn't emotionally absent by accident. He was emotionally calculated. Not violent. Not explosive. Just cold. According to Riley, Todd didn't disappear from the family, he reorganized it. She alleges affection in the home wasn't missing, it was rationed. Given selectively. Withdrawn strategically. And intentional or not, she says the result was the same: division. She claims every disagreement became a lesson. Every emotion became drama. Every boundary became attitude. And the children were measured more than they were protected. Riley alleges Todd didn't lead like a father, he managed like a CEO. Love had conditions. Support came with expectations. Compliments were replaced with critiques. What hurt her most, she says, wasn't the criticism. It was the categorizing. Spoiled. Soft. Dependent on her mother. Labels she claims followed her everywhere, at dinners, in conversations she wasn't included in decisions made long before she arrived. And while she faced labels, she says Kayla faced pressures. Kayla had rules. Riley had walls. Inside that dynamic, a rivalry grew, not from jealousy, but from survival. Two daughters trying to exist under two different standards. Riley claims Kayla believed Riley was favored by Kandi. Riley believed Kayla was protected by Todd. And once those beliefs hardened, so did the silence. Family dinners became battlegrounds without weapons. Holidays became performances. Trips turned transactional. Smiles were automatic. Trust wasn't. And then came the moment Riley says changed everything: the gift, the car, the Porsche the internet saw as generosity. Riley now says it detonated something buried for years. According to her, the Porsche wasn't a present. It was proof. Proof that worth inside that house came from one source only. She claims that night the house didn't react like a home, it reacted like a courtroom. Accusations. Tone shifts. Silence that wasn't peaceful, but political. And then, the words Riley says she never forgot. "This is why your daughter is impossible." She says that sentence didn't echo it carved. And when Kayla allegedly followed online with "stepkids never become real family," something broke permanently. From that moment, Riley claims the family wasn't a family. It was a structure waiting to collapse. Not loudly, not openly, but inevitably. And according to her, collapse didn't come as chaos, it came as distance. Riley says the home didn't explode. It drained. Todd didn't leave dramatically. He faded. By mid-2025, she claims he wasn't living in one place. He was managing two worlds, New York and Atlanta. Shorter texts. Delayed calls. Presence replaced by excuses. Then, Riley says quietly, Candy removed Tucker from her life online. No announcement. No explanation. Just erased. Insiders say it wasn't branding, it was preparation. Because by then, this wasn't about saving the marriage. It was about surviving what the marriage had become. And according to Riley, the final blow didn't come from divorce papers. It came from departure. She alleges Todd didn't leave Candy, he left the household. And when Candy tried to stop him, his response wasn't emotional. It was final. "I'm done pretending." That, Riley says, is when something inside her mother shifted. Not rage. Release. But what came next, she claims, shocked the family more than the separation itself. Celebration. Riley says Kayla didn't mourn the breakup, she marked it. A party. Smiles. Videos. And a message Riley insists no one in the family was supposed to see. Finally, he's free. She read it. And something inside her went numb. Because suddenly everything clicked. This wasn't just conflict, it was positioning. This wasn't just tension, it was strategy. And according to Riley, it wasn't new. It was inherited. The difference in parenting wasn't small, it was structural. One model was comfort, the other was character. And Riley says the house could never decide which one it wanted to be. According to her, Todd focused on outcomes. Candy focused on impact. Todd tracked results. Candy tracked resilience. The clash wasn't personal. It was philosophical. I didn't want to raise children who depended on money. I wanted to raise children who could survive without it. Todd thought like a businessman. I thought like a mother. That difference didn't soften with time. It separated us. And Riley says that somewhere inside that ideological war, empathy was misplaced. Decisions were debated, but feelings were dismissed. She claims Kayla grew guarded. She grew isolated. And instead of uniting, they were quietly positioned against each other, not with words, but with alignment. Riley claims Kayla's influence over Todd grew while her own voice faded. Text messages replaced conversations. Assumptions replaced communication. And slowly, every disagreement became allegiance-based. You weren't just disagreeing, you were choosing sides. And once sides existed, there was no family left. Only lines. Sometimes it felt like they were living in the same house, but in two different realities. And the divorce didn't happen overnight. It formed quietly, long before it ever reached paper. According to Riley, by the time the divorce became public emotionally, it was already ancient. The world was simply catching up to what the house already knew. And as the marriage cracked, so did the businesses. Riley now alleges the empire was an immune old lady gang, Blaze Steak, Tucker Productions, the trucking ventures. She claims the machine didn't collapse, but it coughed. Deals paused. Conversations cooled. Energy drained. And then came whispers of paperwork, the prenup. According to Riley, that document didn't just divide wealth. It revealed intention. She claims Todd's position was limited and Candy's protection was precise. And to fans, one question suddenly echoed louder than the rest. Was this marriage a partnership or a contract with an expiration date? And if that answer terrified Todd, was walking away easier than staying powerless? Riley never says that outright, but the implication sits in the silence. And silence, she says, has always been the loudest thing in that house. As the public tried to make sense of the fallout, something else shifted quietly. Not on camera, not in interviews, not in headlines, in energy. People close to the family say the mood inside the Burris, Tucker world became unfamiliar almost immediately. Phones stopped ringing. Texts went unanswered. Conversations that once lasted hours shrank to a single sentence. And according to Riley, something that had always been background noise finally became loud silence. She claims that after Todd stepped away from the house, the illusion didn't shatter, it evaporated. And once the illusion was gone, no one knew how to stand inside the truth. Riley alleges the pain didn't come from the departure. It came from what followed. No apology. No accountability. No, let's fix this. Instead, she says she watched people choose sides without ever admitting there were sides to choose. Support became selective. Information became currency. Trust became optional. Riley says she realized something unsettling. Some people around the family weren't acting like a marriage had ended. They were acting like a transaction had failed. According to her, conversations that once centered on emotions and repair shifted into colder territory, assets, divisions, future positioning. That was the moment Riley says it clicked. This was no longer personal. It was procedural. Around this time, online watchers noticed subtle changes too. No statements, no public explanations. But the quiet signs were unmistakable. A shared photo gone, a name missing, a birthday post missing the person who once stood next to it. And then came the rumors not about love, but about leverage. Fans began circulating theories that this divorce wouldn't be fought emotionally, but strategically. The quieter the family became, the louder the speculation grew. And Riley did nothing to stop it. People close to her say she wasn't feeding chaos, she was done correcting narratives. For years, she watched the family story be softened, cleaned, edited, packaged. And now she claims she no longer cared to adjust public perception. If people were going to talk, they might as well talk honestly. Because according to Riley, what the world believed was peace inside that house was never peace. It was compliance. She alleges emotional labor in that home was expected, but emotional reward was never guaranteed. And when that pattern finally collapsed, everything attached to it collapsed too: friendships, partnerships, business confidence. She suggests that people around Todd began behaving differently. Less warmth. More calculation. And that was the first time she realized the family hadn't just been affected, it had been assessed. Online analysts claim that shortly after the separation became public, business activity linked to the Tucker name showed visible shifts. And if you believe silence doesn't equal innocence, and if you believe stories like this don't disappear, they wait, then subscribe. Because when the next line is crossed, you won't hear it. You'll feel it.